Hello, dear viewers, and welcome back to Let's Play Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup. It has been quite some time since I had the opportunity to play. I've been rather busy. New job has been taking a lot of brain power, which is excellent, but this is the first time I've managed to crawl in a couple of months at least. My first time on 0.15. Ooh, it's very exciting. So who are we going to be? We are going to be Hugo. Not sure who Hugo is. Ooh, well, I want to try something new. I'm honestly not sure. Shucks. I'm not sure what they added in 0.15. I remember looking at it back in 0.14, but it's been a little while since then. I kind of want to try a ranged character. One of the things I do recall about 0.15 that I kind of like, or at least I anticipated liking, is that they revamped ranged weapons. They added a little bit more variety to the various types. I think crossbows got some interesting variety, and they made the damage and hit ratios a lot more intuitive. They put them in line with all other weapons, where basically around level 14 to 18 is where you cap the. Well, you don't cap, but the diminishing returns kick in more heavily. So I kind of want to try a hunter of some sort. Centaurs are interesting. I think. Ooh, let's try a centaur because I'm pretty sure that they also removed the accelerated hunger of centaurs. Arcane marksman. I don't know how I feel about that. I may want to just go straight hunter. Maybe do Nemelex. I think they reworked some of the a lot of how Nemelex works. Anyway, let's take a look at this. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. 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 Not that great at. Yeah. There we go. Bows, crossbows, throwing, that sort of business is quite good. Quite good indeed. And spellcasting is pretty bad, but the other aptitudes, the spell schools, aren't the worst. Not fantastic, but they'll do. Still, I think I want to go just the straight-up hunter. Slings also had a little bit more variety added, but I think we're going to go with the bow. I feel like bows are a pretty good balance, and there are some interesting, unique ones. We can always switch over to a crossbow later if whimsy takes us. Well, that's a neat new tile for centaurs. I think that's new to this version. And I may switch back. Oh well, a teleport trap. Interesting. I may switch back and forth between centaur and centaur. That's one of those that has never been clarified for me. We are faster than the average critter. 0.7 turns per tile. As you can see over sort of beneath our health there where it says time, the number in parentheses is the amount of time that it has elapsed since your last action. I guess we can move a little faster than we are. I really ought to pick up a melee weapon of some sort here. Oh, and I need to do skills. What am I doing? Just training everything willy-nilly. Although those aren't the worst things to be training. Stealth is pretty bad for us. At least early on. We don't really want to be training something with a -3 aptitude this early in the game, I don't think. There's an interesting argument to be made for both sides. One side is that the first couple of levels in any skill, the first 1 or 2 levels, provide by far the most benefit because you have some points in them instead of none. So it is the greatest relative increase in improvement, or in skill, in effectiveness. On the other hand, the early levels are some of the most vulnerable, so if you think you're in danger of dying, which is always very possible in this game, it can be better just to dump your points into your better skills, your more proficient skills, such as, in our case, bows. We would just probably turn off everything but bows. Fighting is better for us than for many species because we have an increase in our hit points, I believe. Yes, plus 10%, which is nice. I feel like they've added some health increases to some of these races, but I think it's just because they changed the format. Used to just be HP MP +1, -1, -2, etc. Now they actually list it in terms of percentages, which is, I think, a nice change. Just a purely cosmetic one. Oh, we do have a short sword. That's not particularly exciting. Yeah, everything is fairly equally bad, except for unarmed combat. I kind of want to check out one of these. I'm trying to think what the most effective thing would be. Maybe axes? I feel like axes are a good counterpoint to bows. A good multi-target melee weapon to make up for our single target primary damage source. So now that we have a little bit of a plan, we can go forward. The apostrophe key, right next to enter on a standard keyboard, will switch back and forth between your items in slot A and B. So if you set them to 2 different weapons, you will have a relatively quick way of switching over to your melee weapon. It takes a half a turn to switch between weapons. Generally, yeah. I don't know if that's always been the case. I think it takes a third of a turn to just unwield a weapon. The reason, by the way, that we are trying to use a melee weapon a little bit is because I believe that even though they've done some things with item destruction, ammunition is still... oh dear, this is a mess. All right. Ammunition is still something that is destroyed periodically. So I did leave on fighting. I want to get it up to level 2 or 3. It's a very low impact early on, but early on is also when it's most likely that you'll survive with exactly 1 hit point because you've cut it to the wire. So can help to have a couple levels. It also does marginally increase your damage in all weapons and whatnot. Which, before we find for sure robes have a new tile. That's interesting looking. Huh. I have immortal longings in me. Oh dear. Well, onward. Rats ain't no big thing. I think they took out contaminated chunks. Yeah, all meat is equal now. Which, I don't know. Oh, let's see. What do we want to do with this? I believe we want dexterity from here on out. That's really interesting that as a hunter we have this stat distribution. I suppose having hooves does not make one particularly dexterous. Let's go for dexterity. We're going to be wanting to use bows primarily, and I feel like that's a reasonable choice. Oh yeah, as I was saying, the food in this game hunger in this game is a very tricky balance, I feel. back in the earlier versions, much earlier versions, sort of 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, sort of 5+ real life years ago, hunger was it seems, at least to me, that hunger was a much bigger problem. You could very easily starve as some races. Now I feel like that's not their focus. The intent behind the hunger clock, the reason for having it in the game is to prevent dithering, or lollygagging, or whatever you would like to call it, uh, hanging around and just wasting time unnecessarily in hopes that it will make the game easier. Um, you can't just kill an enemy and rest completely after every enemy. Oh my. Sifmuna's Tome of Confrontation. What is in that? Just a magic dart. Well, we'll read it. Oh, that's really interesting. That's extremely interesting. I didn't think that would work, actually. I was doing it half as a joke. But apparently we start with free spell levels? We had 2 spell levels there. I guess you get 1 per level. I think what I really mean to refer to is that we have 0 spell casting, which maybe as recently as 0.14 meant that you could not cast spells at all. You had to train up a level in it if you did not pick a background with spellcasting. So that's kind of nice. I'm not going to worship Sifmuna or Vehemet. Interesting. Vehemet's Guide on Conjuration also only has Magic Dart. Thanks, guys. And Kiko Bakudka. I imagine that the Papyrus of Stolen Souls will have something else. Animate Skeleton. Huh. Necromancy is actually an option for us. Uh, hmm. Okay, so one route that we can take is a sort of um, general of the undead kind of mantle, whatever, persona. And summon a lot of undead critters, raise a lot of skeletons, have zombies around us all the time, just have a wall of minions between us and them, and then memorize portal projectile and give all of our arrows smite targeting and just kind of pew pew from the back lines. That's, I think, a perfectly reasonable strategy for a large portion of the game. It seems strong. It seems good. Uh, the pluses of that, we have some additional survivability because we're not going to be relying on kiting. That is the practice of shooting, moving, to prevent things from closing the gap between you and them, which you can do as a centaur because you move faster than normal, particularly if you pick up the haste spell at some point. The problem with that is that not all levels are kiting friendly. You may end up in enclosed spaces or with monsters surrounding you or other unfortunate circumstances where you basically don't have the luxury of running around. And having minions is great for that because it basically provides you with free additional tiles between you and your foe. Effective distance. Some summoners summon to slay. Their summonings are offensively based. They do a lot of damage, and that's your primary way of killing things. With necromancers, though, I feel like generally speaking, your critters are lower damage. They have the perks, however, of being excellent late game barriers to the melee attacks of monsters with torment because they are immune to it being undead. You are not protected, so you can still be tormented down, but at least you have a shield, a meat shield, or a bone shield of sorts between you and the bad guys. All that being said, there are definitely some downsides, and I'm going to, let's see, look up what Kikobakudka does exactly. I know that the final blessing that Kiku gives you is either a pain brand on your weapon or a copy of the Necronomicon, which the Necronomicon is great. It contains some very, very powerful spells. You can, let's see what it has. It has Haunt, which is an interesting spell that is not as good as it once was, but is still good. Uh, a neat summoning spell that is very good at taking down some of the nastier mummies and cursing things. But it has Borgnior's Revivification, which is the most powerful healing spell in the game. You sacrifice a small number of your maximum hit points in exchange for a full heal. So it'll take you from 1 to 100%. It also has Death's Door, which is a temporary invulnerability prior to death. It prevents you from being killed for a few turns. It's sort of like if you play League of Legends, Tryndamere's Ultimate Undying Rage, or if you play... I'm trying to think what else. I can't think of any other examples off the top of my head, but it's a useful spell. I'm not sure that it's good for us as a ranged character, though. I mean, certainly things would change by that point, but I feel like Death's Door is better for brawly types, almost. I'm not sure. Really not sure. I don't really have any experience with casting it. I only have fought a monster that is capable of casting it, and it's a pain. It's a real pain in the keister to fight against. So I imagine it's got to be good for us too. Regardless, the final spell in the Necronomicon is Necromutation, which is just kind of turns the game on its head. It turns you into an undead. It makes you undead for the duration of the spell, which gives you magic resistance, negative energy immunity, um, all the benefits and vulnerabilities of being an undead race while still maintaining your race's perks. So, mutations cause rot instead of mutations. Gets rid of your hunger clock, which is less relevant now that increased metabolism has been removed. At least I think it has. Yes. Uh-huh. It has. Cool. Uh, hmm. All this to say, I'm not convinced that I want to follow Kiku. You can torment by praying later on. That's kind of cool. Very good in conjunction with Necromutation. We're protected from torment, and that's nice. Though not really useful until the very end of the game. We can receive corpses to animate. This seems interesting. Huh. I'm spending a lot of time with this because I feel like I haven't made this decision before. I haven't really played all that much with a ranged weapon non-spellcaster. I think I've played one other character that has had any kind of success. It was some time ago. So other options for us. I don't really like the idea of Makleb. I like him better on Deep Dwarves. I like him best on Deep Dwarves, let me say. Okawaru is certainly an option, or Okawaru, or Oki, whatever you want to call him, the god of battle, because of gifts of ammunition. Particularly useful for us as a ranged character, would also be useful if we decide to switch over to a crossbow at some point, for example. We would rapidly gain a stock of ammunition there. There's the new god, Kozlal's Stormbringer, god of storms. Appreciates killing things. Protects you against clouds. Grants you a storm shield. Hmm. Some smite targeted blasting based on invocations. That seems interesting. Converts nearby clouds into elementals. See, the tricky thing here is I'm not sure. Oh, I guess we passively generate clouds. Huh. This focus on clouds seems weird. Hmm. Huh. I don't know. I feel like we're experimenting enough with an unusual or an unfamiliar rather build. Fedos Madash is another option, the plant god. That way we can just sort of make walls of plants and shoot over them. I feel like Fedos um, kind of drops off in the late game, and even in the mid game. I feel like Fedos is only really good through the layer. I could be wrong. I could be extremely wrong about that, but I don't know. Not super enthused. I don't think I want to do Trog. Berserking seems like a terrible idea on a character that wants to be able to run away. I could do one of the good gods, like a Livelon. I'm not a big fan of a Livelon. It's such a different playstyle that there's the Shining One, which could be good for us. We gain hit points and mana points when we kill demons, the undead, and evil creatures. We can have a shield. That's actually not bad. You can get a divine shield with the Shining One that does not require a hand. It's a floating invisible shield, which would allow us to have a shield and wield a ranged weapon without penalty. That's really good, actually, since one of the odd weaknesses of ranged characters are ranged enemies that um, are perfectly content with being at maximum range and just blasting away at you. Summoning angels and devas is nice. Huh. I'm not sure how long the angel or deva sticks around. Maybe it's permanent? Surely not. Blessings of allies. Oh, I see, and he can increase. Let's try for the shining one. Let's give it a shot. Uh, Okawaru, if we encounter him early, is also an option, as is Nemelex. I feel like Nemelex could be interesting. You no longer have to sacrifice items to him to receive piety and gifts. I think it's a timer-based thing. Let's drop some books here. I think this means that we're not going to go with Kiku beyond... Oh, well, I do want to memorize Animate Skeleton. Yes. It's got a terrible success rate, but it's not a spell that we have to cast in a hurry generally, so we can... It's low enough level that any contamination that we get from a miscast will be largely irrelevant. Or rather, it won't be strong enough contamination to cause us any mutation effects. One downside of centaurs... Oh, let's grab these javelins. Javelins are really strong no matter what. Even if you have no skill in throwing, they're strong, and they get stronger past that. Let's try wielding this dagger. Oh no, it's a cursed dagger. That's actually pretty bad for us. I'm not entirely sure why I decided to wield that. It was mostly just greed. I wanted a magic weapon. It's been so long since I've played Crawl and felt the power of a cold steel blade. There's never a good reason to die to a worm. Even a regular a character with a regular amount of speed a normally paced character, I'm not sure how to phrase that, can run away from them. They move slower than 1 tile per turn. Yeah, I kind of want to... Cross-training is something that I am excited about. I forget exactly what cross-trains now. At least ranged weapon-wise. Okay, let's read some... Are we... Yeah, let's read some scrolls. Try and find a... I don't care to forget either of our spells. Interestingly, something that I found out between last playthrough and this one, or towards the end of last playthrough when it was largely irrelevant, you can destroy a spell book to forget one of the spells contained within. If you have memorized a spell in a book, and you destroy that book, you can forget one of those spells. Which is really cool, and it also clarifies the whole Sif Muna doesn't like it when you destroy spellbooks thing. I was like, why would you ever destroy a spellbook? That's odd. You can just keep them in your stash. Or drop them. It's not like you need to get rid of them. But yes, forgetting spells is why you would want to destroy a spellbook. So for Sif Muna followers, ooh, oh dear. That was a pretty hefty smite. Let's... Oh, geez. What should we do? Let's break line of sight, and we're going to drink one of these potions. Yeah. Okay, good. The reason why I was willing to take that risk of quaffing an unidentified potion in the middle of battle is because we had 3 of them as compared to any, 2 of another potion and 1 of the others. Curing is by far the most common potion in the early levels of the dungeon. I would have been very surprised had it not been a potion of curing. Now we can kind of run away. We might have been able to run away anyway, but I didn't particularly care to take that risk with a priest around. So that right there was an example of kiting. I fired an arrow, took a couple of steps, fired another arrow, ad nauseum. Do I want to switch to a falchion? It seems like a good idea. +4, 6 versus +2, 8. Sure. What are the attack delays? 1.1 versus 1.3. Yeah, I feel like. Okay, so what I did right there is I dropped the sword by pressing D to drop an item, and then I pressed the equals key, or the equals key next to the backspace key on a standard keyboard at the end of the number row, and that lets you change the designation, the letter designation of your items. And I switched the falchion to letter A so that we can still do the apostrophe trick. There's no, I mean, you don't have to do that by any means. I just like it because it's a single key press as opposed to 3 or something. Hasty wizard. I may have not spoken of this in a while, or if this is the first video you've watched, welcome. And here's a neat thing about spellcasters. They have one of usually 3 sets of spells. We can tell that this one has either book 1 or book 3 because we've seen it cast haste, and it also has cast Puff of Flame, so that means for sure it has book 3. Unlucky for us, that's by far the most powerful book. It does have a cantrip thrown in there, which is a spell that does nothing. It's to keep that book 3 from being just obscenely overpowered as compared to being just stronger than normal, or stronger than the other 2. That's generally how it works, is that there are 2... The spell books are normally of ascending power, at least as far as I can tell, or ascending level of difficulty, should you face that foe. But that's, of course, one of those situations where your mileage may vary. Okay. Got him. All right, excellent. Bose is at level 8, which is much better now than I think it would have been. I feel like it used to be, what is it, like a logarithmic curve or something? Some odd form of advancement. I do want that hand axe. Yeah. We're gonna switch to a hand axe from this falchion. I really think that axes are going to be the way to go for us as far as melee weapons go. We're going to not be really interested in ever having a shield, because we're going to want to be able to switch to our two-handed bow / crossbow, what have you, on a whim. And so a two-handed weapon does not pose any particular detriment to us. There's no penalty to shooting at point blank. I generally switch to a melee weapon just so that we're not wasting ammo. Yeah, we're down to 14 arrows from the 19 or 20 that we started with, which is fine. We have, oh dear, a Sigmund. I'm really glad that we stepped onto that staircase. I was moving a little rapidly. I probably should have been more careful there. This does mean that this level is much more dangerous than I would like it to be. Kind of want to take some pot shots, try and get some additional experience. Armor and dodging. I feel like dodging used to be better for centaurs. Maybe not. All right, let's try. Yeah, let's get us a couple of skeletons. Undead, to my knowledge, do not have a duration. They are not a summoned creature in the sense that they are pulled from another realm. Curse you, Sigmund. Okay, let's think about this. We can run away, which is what I should do. The correct choice here is to run away. And to go down this way and hope that there are some downstairs. Do we have downstairs? We do. We have that set up there, but that doesn't break line of sight fast enough. Let's try running away. Oh, this is a bad idea. Yeah, because he comes into line of sight there. He gets some free shots at us if we do not continue to run. Fortunately, we are fast enough that he cannot both move into range and cast a spell on us in the same round. Okay, I'm going to be greedy here. Dart over there and grab that potion and then head down these stairs. That was incredibly greedy and very risky, but I feel like it's going to be a little while before we can take on Sigmund because his puffs of flame are so strong. Steel javelins. We just have so many javelins. Maybe I want to put a couple of points into throwing. I think that they made it better. And I seem to recall anyway that the first few levels are quite good. There's a much better axe than the one we have. A battle axe. Yes, we will absolutely assign that to A here. Yeah. Okay, cool. That's a big boost for us, actually. 15 base damage. Our accuracy is terrible, but I think we can afford to put some points into it, a few levels. It'll also cross-train with a couple other skills. Let's do this. Like this, yeah. Let's do this. I like that. The dead are slithering. That's one of my long-time fond phrases, favorite phrases in this game is that when you resurrect or otherwise animate a dead serpentine creature, it says the dead are slithering, not the dead are walking. Order our creature to attack. No. Okay. See, this is the downside of necromancy, is that prior to learning portal projectile, you just have to kind of stand there like a dork. Let's... Ooh. Oh dear. Death to Quokka? Oh my. I did not anticipate that. I thought we'd be okay with our battle axe against a Quokka. Well, poor Hugo, brought down by a marsupial. What did we have? We had a scroll of enchant weapon. Those have been changed. They are no longer divided into accuracy and damage. It's just a single number bonus. And they no longer fail occasionally, but they are also less common. They are rarer in the dungeon. A +3 ring of evasion would have been really helpful that fight. Maybe I should have put that on. But if I was trying things on, I also probably would have put on that necklace, which would have been a bad thing. Potion of Cancellation is a new item that gets rid of magical effects on you. Well, interesting. That was a shorter run than I anticipated, but then again, it has been a while since I played. Rustiness is a thing, and I'm certainly not used to recording. I haven't recorded anything in a very long time, not since my last crawl video, in fact, so my distraction perhaps is affecting my play. But regardless, that is the end of Hugo. I will maybe start another character tonight. I think I have time. But I hope that this video was at least informative. I'll probably put something in the description about the fact that I spend a lot of time talking about sort of basic functions of the game and discussing gods and whatnot. And maybe next character will move a little bit more rapidly. I'll also figure out, that because the Centaur is fine, I suppose, but I don't know. I just feel like a big dumb beast, kinda, and I was really disappointed by the very low dexterity start. I kind of want a dodgier creature, but who knows? We'll see. Regardless, that's it for now. Since we have died, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.